We'll
to
just
have a screen so we can see who is online.
probably good to central
See, I should do.
location.
Okay.
Y'all did come on. I'm hoping with it.
Okay, meeting out.
Oh, is it? We got it?
There.
Looks good to me. I'll leave it like that.
That was so creepy.
We heard you.
No, it did. It was.
We'll try to listen.
Definitely, yeah.
But
And
then
this is
Deborah
ours.
saw. Computer.
Yeah, it is a very handy tool, especially for a conference.
Sure.
Conference.
Still creepy.
Okay, but the owl is on, and so I will call this meeting to order at 3 o'clock. And we have Lynn joining remotely. And you can hear us because you waved, and we have Patsy and Chom and Brady and myself in person. First thing on our agenda is to approve the agenda. Would someone like to move to approve?
So moved.
Patsy moves,
My second.
and Chom
I'll
second.
second. Joan second, Patsy.
Are there any requests for modification to the agenda? Okay, all in favor of approving as written, say aye.
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 Aye as well.
Can we hear Lynn okay?
I cannot hear. Lynn, did you say aye to that?
I did.
There you are.
Okay, that's
Perfect.
better.
Thank
Yeah.
you. So that's unanimously approved. On to public comment. I forgot to pull up my public comment thing. So, give me one brief second. The Lopez Park and Recreation District welcomes public comment in a fair and orderly manner consistent with Washington's Open Public Meeting Act. Speakers may comment orally or in writing, including remotely when accommodations are requested. To ensure everyone has an equal opportunity, speakers are limited to 3 minutes and the overall comment period may be time limited. Comments should be respectful and non-disruptive. Public comment is intended to inform the board. Board members will not respond during the comment period, though the chair may provide brief factual information if appropriate. Lack of response does not indicate agreement or disagreement. Comments may be referred for future consideration, staff follow-up, or written response. Thank you. Would anyone like to give public comment? Anyone on Zoom? I don't see any raised hands. Going once, going twice. Okay. Lynn, you can note that no one gave public comment. Next on our agenda is event update. Brady, you were the person who hosted said event. If you would like
That
to
event, yes.
tell us how it went.
Lopez Rec agreed some months ago to host a baseball and softball event at Ogden, celebrating the 100th anniversary of Ogden County Park. Kit and I were tasked with, or had agreed to support it. So insurance wouldn't cover baseball or softball with hardball bats. And so we ended up bringing kickballs and wiffle balls. And it was me hosting the wiffle ball games for 3 hours.
And did you have attendees?
We had 27 people.
Wow.
Yeah. So we had a full-on 3 hours of wiffle ball.
Nice.
Wow.
That's the update.
Was it, what kind of, can we ask some questions of
Sure.
you?
Yeah.
I was curious, just the age spread.
We had an 82-year-old and we had a 4-year-old.
Wow.
So yeah, it was some people who were at Ogden camping. It was like Andy and his son Will, who had played Little League baseball, but of course Little League is no more. It was one of those things that we hoped that Lopez Rec would fund. They came to play baseball and ended up playing wiffle ball. stuck around. So it was a mix of campers and locals.
Can I ask another question?
Yeah.
You mentioned insurance. Do we have?
No, at the end of the Odlin insurance.
Oh, okay, so
They
you
weren't
contracted
comfortable
that
with-
through Odlin?
Well, since we don't have, they were
Right.
sponsoring the event. They, I mean, they were hosting the event, and we were, Lopez Rec agreed to sponsor it. Of course, we agreed to sponsor it, and we thought we would have a pass levy and
Gotcha.
insurance and all that other stuff.
Okay, so because you contracted their, or a
No contract, just an agreement.
agreement
Yeah.
that they would let their insurance cover us. I was wondering about that because it seems.
Officially their event with us, you know, supporting, with me supporting. So it was their insurance that would cover anything that happened out.
Okay,
And hard bats and no helmets and things like that were not gonna pass, so.
thank you for doing that.
Yeah, I did receive at least some community feedback that is appreciated.
Yeah.
Lovely. I don't think we have any more events planned. Back to the no insurance thing. Community outreach. We've had a few listening sessions. Would people like to share about their various listening sessions? And kind of general takeaways?
Mhm.
5.
5 sessions.
Mhm.
Yeah. Mhm. And I think we reviewed the first one at the last board meeting.
Yes.
So it was 4 since the last board meeting.
Yeah.
Well, you two did a couple together, didn't you? Do you two want to start first and then you did one with Lynn?
We did
Kathy?
1.
We did, I attended 3
Uh-huh.
of the 4 that had happened.
Mhm.
The first one was with Brady. So,
Nice.
Brady, do you want to talk about that one? You want me to?
You go ahead.
Okay. So we had one attendee. It was at the library. And I would say that the attendee was supportive of rec programs. And it was really more of a pondering of what had happened, what, what is the environment for it. There was some focus on millennials and how a lot of them didn't necessarily vote, and just kind of this hard time in our country and locally as well, with people feeling some disillusionment and therefore maybe not even stepping up to vote at all. So we had some discussion about that, and also related to people on fixed income and how this is challenging to put another levy out, and just that, we didn't come up with any solutions, but we just kind of focused a lot of our discussion about those 2 things. I think were probably one of the key focuses. Brady, do you want to add?
No, I mean, I think that was the focus. I think there was, I mean, we.
I'm on the board.
We talked big picture. I mean, it was like, we had multiple conversations with ACES, so I'm not sure if I remember exactly what was a listening session and what was a parking lot conversation, and what was at a prior meeting, and, but it, I think we all 3 shared the goal of trying to encourage more participation among younger Islanders in voting and in volunteering,
Yeah.
and in serving on boards, which came up also. Younger, diversity of generation in board.
And I think the next session was one that you had, Sean, right? You and Jenny?
Yeah.
Do you want to?
Yeah, sure.
Just go
You
forward.
want to go first? Let's see if I need to do my
We have, let's see, 1
We have 6 people.
people.
Could you speak up just a bit?
Sure. We had 6 people who attended. We were out on the lawn, the Lopez green lawn, whatever we call that space. And I think creating the opportunity for it was appreciated. I think it revealed that there are feelings and perceptions that are generated. I mean, it's a conversation among us as commissioners, and it's also a conversation that is being held in the broader community without our direct participation in it. And there are still some misconceptions and some ideas of what we're doing that were not actually what we were doing. So I think outreach and education is one of our stumbling blocks. There's, I would say, some strong emotions around it. And a diversity of opinions on the direction things should go. John, would you have more to add to that?
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting to have pretty diverse people represented among the 6 attendees. Let's see. It was interesting to hear that the strong messaging around the school needs when was perceived as deceitful when the budget allocation did not match that, or like that was I think first and second, so the focus of messaging on the school, but then the budget was more than just the school. Anyway, so the mismatch created some maybe misperception or whatever, but that it came across as not being totally transparent. Anyway, so I think that is
the individual that expressed that.
Yeah.
But strangely also wanted to support the school, but didn't think we should be doing it through this levy.
Right. So yeah. So I just want to clarify a little bit about the diversity of opinion. So some attendees expressed support for the levy being used to support school, and others actually opposed. But those who opposed actually supported the use of district for adult recreation, with a caveat that it should not cost anything to the district. So that was interesting. And
But I don't understand that.
so the district should be doing adult recreational programming, but the programming that is put out to the community should be paid for through fees. So basically, we can provide programming, but the participants should be able to cover the fees. You should pay through fees, the whatever cost associated with provision of the adult programming. So that's the recommendation from some of the participants. And then for the youth program, there was a recommendation that we shouldn't have to pay for the whole cost of the youth programs, but only focusing on access, providing equitable access, so that people who may not be able to afford the programs otherwise, will be able to afford the program. So we provide just the subsidy in order to make it more affordable for participants who are low income to be able to access the programs. So that's a recommendation, and that was presented as a way to also reduce the levy burden. And also people in terms of timing, I think most people were in agreement that the community needs some time to heal, and they feel that given the competing needs that will be on the levy, they think that the chance of success would be better if we wait, if we don't rush to do the levy this November. And another thing that was raised was conflict of interest. some, a few people felt that, we did not deal with perceived conflict of interest, among the commissioners, particularly when the school is involved. So that's another comment. And lastly, just in terms of the school sports, so even though there's division about, whether or not school sports should be part of it, but if it's part of it, then, if the messaging is about school sports, primarily, then that should be the majority of the budget. So that's another,
Although some people also said that it shouldn't pay for school sports. So it was, there was some, that's why I said there was some conflicting opinions of, I mean, we had a very small sample size, but among that sample size, those were some of the opinions expressed.
right. By that, they think they meant like the administrative cost to be kept to a minimum. And it was actually a good conversation with, Board of Commissioner, or what do you call, Board of Commission members who had shared some experience about the admin costs, on the port, and this, it can be very part-time. Anyway, so that's, useful. I thought that was useful, input.
The comparison of a port commission to the Parks and Rec, is that what you're saying?
Can you say again?
The comparison of a port commission
Oh, yeah.
to a Parks and Rec is where they were suggesting that the administrative costs were not comparable?
No, they were suggesting that, that the admin person, could be very part-time, doesn't have to be half-time, and the port, had the model of contracting out, services, and so the admin, the main admin person, does everything, accounting and administrative, duties, and even like lawn mowing, whatever. Anyway, the proposal was that, it can be kept low. That was the suggestion from the attendee, one of the attendees. Yeah, that's what I got. And I think another one is the fact that, like with each levy failure is, it makes it harder for us to pass, at the next attempt. Anyways, it's not like we can keep asking forever. Like each time, there's some trust that is lost. And so we just need to weigh each levy attempt very carefully.
Lynn and Patsy, you had a listening session as well, didn't
We did. Lynn, do you want to talk about those?
We actually had two,
Hmm?
and unfortunately, most of the listening was Patsy listening to me.
I learned a lot. No.
We did not have a lot of attendees, so we had a listening session at the library in the evening that no one showed up to, but Patsy gathered some information about the library's strategy when they ran their levy that I think Patsy should speak to more, but I thought it was interesting what it led me to believe. And also, well, I'll go to the next one first. So on
One thing
Saturday,
to
we
that
were-
that I figured out afterwards, Lynn, that we totally missed this, because I just had on my calendar that I needed to be at that meeting, but it was the candidate forum.
you? Oh.
So it was really a bad choice of us to do that night. But
Right.
We didn't realize that until, we already had it posted and everything.
Yeah.
But that contributed, I think, had we been outside of that parking lot, we would have had a lot of people talking to us, right? So
Right,
that was
right.
just a timing that happened, I believe, after we sat ours, or we just missed it. I don't know. But anyway.
I don't think we really cross-referenced when we were doing it, but
Yeah. Mhm.
Right.
best laid plans.
Yeah. Mhm.
Right. So then on Saturday, we were at the Islandale / South End Market / Islandale again. And we were at the picnic tables and we ran into one woman in the parking lot. And I don't think she was there to speak to us. I think she was getting in the car and she saw us putting the sign up out on the roadway to alert people that we were there. And I thought speaking to her was a little bit fascinating, and I give her credit for coming up and speaking to us. And she just right off the bat said, I don't support it. And we said, oh, can you tell us why? And the first thing she said was the $170,000 salary for the director. And I said, or we both said, oh, that's interesting because that's not a thing. And we tried to explain to her about, the the original budget, which was just a guideline to try to figure out how to set the levy rates, and that had been revised quite a bit for the next one. But it really pointed out to me the misinformation that is still out there, which I think you're all reporting. And the lack of knowledge about what is our goal, what are we trying to do, what is the money going for, how will it be used? And I find it, I guess I'm just very naive. I find it very frustrating that there's all this misinformation and confusion when we've had town halls, we've had at the community center, we had what I considered a listening session where I remembered people that were on the formation committee were all sitting at different tables so people could come up and speak to us, and we took notes and took down what they said. We've sent out postcards. We've had a website. We've posted things on the website. We've now had more listening sessions. We've all been individually speaking to people. And so I find it interesting that people are somewhat interested, but they've just quite a number have decided that we're doing this wrong or they don't agree with it or something, but then they don't show up when we offer things for them to show up. Another common thread that I've heard, both through the listening sessions and speaking to individuals, is that they feel, some have felt like it got kind of nasty and personal, that there was this idea that if you didn't vote for the levy, it meant you were against children, and people took exception to that, and it affected them negatively. So just personally, I'm a little bit at a loss for what is the way forward, because it seems clear to me that people need more information to make what I would consider a reasoned decision. Now, they may still make the same decision once they understand everything, but it seems like there's a lot of not understanding. And then the other thing is, as others have mentioned, there's there's other levies going out. There's other things that people are voting on. People are getting hit in the pocketbook with inflation and gas prices and all of that. And it to me, it seems a little daunting right now in what I'm hearing, that perhaps more education and outreach is needed in some fashion. I don't know if we have to go knock on people's doors to speak to them. I'm not sure. So I will turn it over to Patsy for what she gained from our sessions.
I have to say, I was really disappointed at the turnout, because I was really wanting to learn, and in the 3 sessions, we had 2 people.
Yeah.
So I actually did spend time trying to reach out to people in other ways, which I thought was appropriately within what we were trying to do, especially being a new commissioner, to understand. And so I had, I counted up 15 individual conversations that I would, in the range of an hour, with different people, a mixture of people that I know, some that were for, some that were against it, some that I didn't know exactly where they stood, some that were, I would consider community leaders, that are just curious and know on, different levels of a relationship with them. And I would say that okay, some of the takeaways from that I got, and there's a lot of very similar to what you were saying, Jenny. There's, when you talk to 15 different people, there's different opinions about things.
Yeah.
But some of the common threads were that they really felt we needed to give a better understanding of what the rec will do. There was confusion about it was more clear to assist in funding of school sports. When it got to the youth programs, I think there was more people confused because they didn't understand as much whether the resource center was going to be doing them or we were going to be doing them. And I think that the budget that was put out was appreciated for transparency, but also caused some confusion because it had a lot of the line items were like line items from the resource center. So it caused confusion. And, I had one person that very respectable, smart, has her doctorate, and she said she was explaining to me that she had voted for it, but was trying to talk with some other people that were seniors that were trying to decide, and she went to try and find the simple pie chart that explained how the money was going to be used and the simple narrative, and they couldn't find it. Now, whether it was out there or not, I don't know. I can't really speak, but it wasn't easily accessible for someone who I consider to be, very bright with it person. I also heard a lot about the feelings that people had that if they didn't vote for this, that they felt that they weren't for kids. So it caused a lot of emotional feelings for people because they didn't want to be pegged in that way. And I don't believe that people, personally, I don't think anybody on this island doesn't care about the kids in this island. They may have different feelings about how we get to providing that assistance or that they didn't agree with what the levy was.
Hold on. I think, Beth, you need to mute your microphone, please.
Okay. So there was a lot of emotion related to that. Some people feel that there's better ways than a rec to fund programs like private donations. I feel like there was still some people that really held on to what the first levy was and they didn't really understand the differences, and it was a dramatically lower ask. Mm-hmm. And somehow that still didn't make people all vote for it because I think there was still some confusion and misunderstanding. Let's see, some people commented that they just felt, that the board wasn't really listening, that they were more concerned about getting it to pass, the number needed to get it passed. And I say these are just perceptions that are out there, they're not personal reflections or anything, because I feel the board did work hard, but for whatever reason, these were some of the things that I heard in conversation. There was a feeling that was expressed by more than one person that there was too much in the campaign that felt like it was pulling on the heartstrings. Negative feelings about the kids being out there, which I understand wasn't something that we did, but that they felt that there was not as much of a voice about what we were actually doing as more like, pulling on us that we need to help the school out and help the resource center out because of the lack of fundings that are beyond their control in a lot of ways. And they felt there was too much heartstring pulling and not enough answers to data that they didn't understand. And some people commented that even in a public meeting, they didn't feel comfortable because there were so many voters that were for it that they felt uncomfortable standing up to ask their questions. But I did really feel overall that the community does want to support kids, but they're uncertain about exactly what was being proposed and entrusting that this is the best way. And of those people, I started asking later on, I didn't actually in the beginning, but just curious about how people felt about going out for the election in November, because I felt like that was bubbling up as a question. And of those 15 people that I spoke with, 9 of them recommended not going out in November because, and 6 of those people were big supporters, I will say. But they felt that the competition with the fire and the EMS levy, and that we need more time to get broader and better community support, and just concerned that, 3 strikes in a row would be devastating. And that they felt a pause was good.
Mhm.
So those are my key takeaways.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's going above and beyond to reach out to people.
Well, even still, I feel like there's so many people that that I would still like to talk to, I don't feel like I didn't really have a chance to get together with a bunch of seniors or, some of the groups, or like the millennials, or, some of these groups still, they weren't represented. I guess, well, a lot of seniors are, because there's a lot of them. So, yeah, there were some that weren't seniors that I talked to, but not necessarily the ones that had more, concerns about the fixed income, I would say.
Numbers like us,
Yeah.
most of us who attend the meetings.
Yeah.
There's one of you.
Brady, did you have something that you wanted to add about? I mean, you went to one.
The listening session?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I summarized the one with Asa.
Okay.
That's the only
That's the only one.
participation.
Okay.
Oh, I did want to say Darren, who Lynn mentioned, was great to spend an hour with me prior to the other listening session. And he was a strong proponent of waiting, and just felt that trying to better understand the community, and we just thought we needed to regain trust and be seen in a more positive light. He talked about how they spent 3 years before they went out with their levy, basically just working on their kind of way people perceive the library and trying to make that really positive before they went out.
Of course, the library
Yes.
is a known entity that exists.
And he was fully cognizant of that, yeah.
The nonprofit that can do all those things.
And they had some funding already, and they had a reputation, so he was great about recognizing the differences and the hard thing, and he also felt like our timing was hard just because of what happened with the economy at the time, that we were getting ready to go out, and how the county levy didn't impact.
Well, and a really recent and dramatic increase in property values, coupled with inflation and then high gas prices, and then a recent slew of new levies, and there's reasons why their voters are levy shy currently that I understand to be true. So, after that outreach discussion, I guess there's the next step of what we do with that information and where we see ourselves heading in terms of planning our next steps. I mean, we do have a first read of a resolution on here, primarily because that's what we said we would do at this meeting. But I am interested in the collective opinion if we think November is prudent, or if there's a desire to wait further for a third round. Because as we all know, that there has to be another round, but it doesn't have to be in November. November is the last opportunity to collect revenue in 2027. But there are other levies available in 2027 too, and then revenue could be collected in 2028. So.
Well, I have to say, just from a personal level, it makes me feel really sad and sorry not to be going out in November, because I know how much the school needs it, and also the resource center programs will go through the summer of 2027. And so they, like the school, would have a school year potentially without programs. And a gap in those programs is real. I mean, that's hard when you get a gap.
There is some worry too that there may have been more of a chance to get some, ironically, some of that grant money, even if not in full, but having community investment with levy dollars creates kind of a matching sustainability perception among grant applications that then disappears without that
Right.
being part of the horizon. So there's lots of consequences.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think we are all more or less in agreement with the need. I think the question is, what can we do strategically, to increase the chance of success? And I think that weighs heavily given the voter sentiment. Some people I talked to don't even feel that the fire department levy would pass. And if we were to be on the same ballot, and people have to make hard choices, about which one to choose. Yeah, I don't know. I feel that people seem to indicate that they need more time before they are ready to vote on this issue again. And I really feel if we fail again, 3 strikes, yeah, I don't know about the future of the district. I for sure will not stay on as a commissioner. I just want to make it public record. If we go again and we fail again, I feel like I need to take some responsibility for not being on the same page as the voters and by resigning. So I think I don't want to weigh the decision very carefully to make sure that we don't take this lightly. We don't want to just put it on the levy just so that we can try and try and try. I want this to be, not a failed one. We really want to do it. We need to be successful. So I feel that we haven't done all the work yet that needs to be done. And in fact, in thinking about the resolution language, I did some more work. And it seems like we actually have some work to do. I went to look at what Island Rec did. We can talk about that later, but I feel like there is work to be done before we are ready to adopt the resolution.
I would add to the fact that I said that I feel really sad and sorrowful to it. I also feel very worried and apprehensive about going out in November after the discussions I've had with people, because I do think the 3 strikes will be very devastating. And it just was, I believe it was just such controversy related to all this that I do feel that we need more time for listening, better communication, more healing in some ways, but trying to get a better support from the community before we go out. And I also looked just like at some of the numbers of how many people voted for the district formation and then how many voted yes. And if we would need actually, and I know not everybody voted. There's over a third of the population that hasn't voted in all these elections, the April and the November one. But if you assume that everybody that voted yes for the district votes yes, it's still actually not enough votes to get to the 60% if the same amount of people vote. So we need more people bought into this, or I think the numbers even statistically are supporting that it would be a real stretch. You'd have to get all those people plus another handful, 5 more maybe, depending upon how many people turn out. So it feels risky to me at this point to go out in November.
Lynn, Brady? I see
Well,
Lynn turning over.
I too feel the the push-pull because I don't want the Family Resource Center and the school to go a year without the funding because very hard to start something back up if you've had to lay people off and put it on hiatus for a while. But I also think that, like I previously said, I'm not sure what exactly we need to do in the next less than 4 months now, 3.5 months, to change people from a no vote to a yes vote, to have a good understanding um, of what, where our hearts and minds are and why we feel so passionately about this. So I'm really kind of flummoxed. It's like, I think I felt the same way about going in April, that there was some reticence in going in April, but we were trying to make sure that the school knew that they could join in the, athletic activities through the WIAA. Um, There is certainly a feeling amongst some that, well, see, somebody stepped up and just made a donation, and last year Leaf stepped up and raised a bunch of money, and maybe that's the way it should be done. And there was at least one person that said that there was a move afoot to start a community foundation and try to fund things that way, which is interesting. Um, I can see some possible benefits to it, but I also see a lot of downside, having been involved in at least one foundation before. So I'm I'm a little bit on the fence and could be swayed one way or the other. But the way to the thing that I would need to be swayed on is what exactly would be my goals of things that I personally could do between now and November, whatever the date is, to have this be successful, because it does feel a little bit like banging our heads against a wall of people saying that we're not listening. But I also don't, I don't think it's feasible to put out a 10-cent levy and you're just gonna only fund the school. I truly believe that that's not the purpose or the legality of a Parks and Rec district. So I would say I'm leaning a little bit against it at this point, and that's not a happy thought against going in November. November has some advantages because the amount we have to pay would presumably be less as there's more things on the ballot, and I would hope that because it's midterm elections with the politics of our country, that more people would show up to vote because of those larger elections. So that's appealing. So I would love to hear some ideas of how we can attack this to get a positive outcome. Dead silence.
We don't go in November, sorry, am I too quiet? If we don't go in November, I think my concern is that part of the way people will learn about what Lopez Rec brings to the community is by losing things that the community has now.
It's by, I'm sorry.
Losing things that the community has now. So it's Lynn reference to the year without funding for school sports, a year without, or an uncertain ongoing funding for after school and summer programs. Engaged in this to try and make sure there wasn't a gap in sustainable funding for those programs in particular, but the vision that I engaged in around the Parks and Rec is long gone. Planning to spend the rest of my life on this island, and the vision was to have activities for me as well. And I think it's really hard to be a new person on this island. I think Lopez Rec has a great potential for being an organization that brings people in, that's inclusive, that is multi-generational, that is across class and interest in ways that other organizations aren't. I think there's a lot of personal affinity groups. I think there's a lot of, I'm not comfortable going to that place for that, or I don't know who's going to be at that, and or I don't have $10 for that. So, you know, the vision that I entered into this with was something that really is much more broad-based and inclusive than what we are talking about, even in the last levy. So, you know, my connection to it is different now. I also think that, and you know, there's all kinds of dynamics, but I think that it's a shame that the school is in the position as a public institution to need private funding to make ends meet. And I don't think it's an issue of misspending or misallocation or overpaying or any of the other allegations that might be out there. I think it's currently a very efficient organization. And it's very frustrating, not only that the school would need to seek private donations to keep the lights on, but also that puts the school in the same fundraising status as the Family Resource Center and the library and all the other organizations on this island that are valuable that can't seek tax levy funding. So, you know, if you have an organization that there's no way to put a levy forward for sustainable funding, you are now competing against a school that theoretically has an avenue of funding that would support the school, and now the school is seeking $400,000 from the same donors that, you know, Youth Conservation Corps was seeking, or I mean, you name it, right? All of these, you know, Lions Club is closed, but they were looking for donations. San Juan, what is it, a United Way, you know, just all those organizations are in the same place of seeking money from the same people. And what this does is put the school, which is like the library, I think, of an institution that people support. And this whole process has made that clear. We are, as a school district, swinging a really heavy weight in the philanthropy department. And
Which department?
philanthropy. And so, you know, we need to now seek private money, and that's just going to take private money from deserving organizations.
Yeah.
So it's a, you know, from my perspective, it's a lose-lose. And the Parks and Rec levy is a win. Crowdfunding, something that the community needs and believes in, feels right. Accessing levy funding for someone that could use levy funding feels right. So that all said, I mean, obviously I'll, you know, do the full commission. So if we decide not to go in November, I would not stand in the way of that, of course, or even vote against it. So I guess it's not even a vote against, it's whether we vote to actively pursue a resolution to go to the ballot in November. So it does not feel like we have the majority interested in that. So
I'm curious whether you think that the community would support it in November.
well, I mean, I think some of the criticism has been criticizing how elections are won. So it isn't all, and when you're trying to win an election, you are parsing the vote. You're running the numbers. You are looking at how many people voted and thinking the solution might not lie in switching votes, but in getting out the vote. So I think that, you know, and some of the criticism has been, you know, not listening to the community, but I think the people who are saying that are people that are in opposition to this. And, you know, that makes sense if you're opposed to it and you're saying I'm opposed to it and they keep putting out a levy, you're gonna say they're not listening to me. But each time we've reduced the levy, each time we've tried to inform the public, each time we've tried to, you know, engage in the activities that win elections. And it is about winning an election. It's not about consensus. We don't need 100% of the Islanders to think this is really wild. Many of our beloved institutions took years. I mean, the pool, for example, is a bad example, but even like the Family Resource Center, even the Lopez Community Center, these took a long time to form, and there was strong opposition. And now I think those people that were opposed to it can't imagine the island without it. And I think that same thing will happen with the Lopez Road. I think 5 years from now, if we pass the levy, people will be like, how did we ever live without Lopez Road?
Yeah.
So it is frustrating to watch people in this moment saying, because some people were nasty, not commissioners, but others, because gas is $5 a gallon. These are all legitimate, but still, it's because I'm not willing to pass a 23-cent levy and pay $230 more. Feels frustrating. Deeply frustrating. And I do believe that, I mean, what election wins in this country by 60%? Very, very few.
Yeah, hard.
And so when Washington State passed that anti-tax legislation requiring levies to go 60% majority, it made it a lot harder, and asking people to spend money is the hardest thing you can do.
Yeah.
So by definition, it's a sales job, asking people to spend money. And some of the criticism has been, it feels like a sales job, but what else is it going to be? You're asking people to pay more in the property taxes.
Yeah.
For something that, they might not see the value in yet, and that's, they'll see the value when there's no school sports or when there's no after school, this is not.
Maybe. I mean, I want that.
You've said,
See the value,
you've heard
but,
that
yeah.
before, not specifically from me as a commissioner, here I am saying as a commissioner. And I know there's been, even Dan, you've been upset with that notion of like, here we are crying wolf or whatever, and the money did appear. And so maybe philanthropy is sustainable funding for the school. Maybe we can raise $500,000 a year. But what we don't see is where that money would have gone through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I won't stand in the way if we decide we're not going to put a resolution forward that puts us in the November ballot. But I also don't see great value in the 10 or 14-cent levy that is contracts with the school and resource center, and that's the extent of it. As a citizen, I don't see great value in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I definitely share your sentiments that it should not be private donations. To me, it's the things that the school is missing by not having this funding, sports programs should be part of basic education. So I don't like the idea of private donations funding it.
Agreed. There's also a very common thing that I heard expressed so frequently of a desire for it to be solved through donations and volunteerism. And I just wholeheartedly agree that those two things are very important contributions to our community. And I will also express a personal frustration as somebody who donates a lot of money and donates a lot of time. Well, great, if you think this should be like it should happen that way, please come join that effort as well. Because I keep trying with those two things. And so far, we haven't dug ourselves out of the hole for funding our school and making sure our kids have safe places to be and sustained support. So while I do not think those are the solution, I do feel like one of the learnings of our effort in April was feeling the desperation of the need and how that aligned with timing didn't give us the time to develop a relationship with the electorate in a way that was necessary for voter buy-in. And I don't know that time is the bomb to that, but I also say that the sentiment currently among voters is not friendly, and I think the benefit of developing a new narrative relationship with our community is important. And I don't want to make the same mistake of feeling the need of solving the problem. Again, like, we need to focus on the relationship with the community. It's hard to create lots of opportunities to connect with people when we don't have anything that we're doing besides, how many of us sitting in this meeting. So we don't even have insurance to like put on free programming, for example. So that makes it very difficult. We have a series of listening sessions. Very few people attended. So I don't know the path forward, but November seems a bit like jumping in another vat of boiling water.
Yeah.
And that saddens me. My personal involvement in this effort has been due to a studied understanding of the problems that exist in our community for our youth. Really in-depth understanding of that, and a desire to solve that with sustainability in mind. And I don't know the best path forward, unfortunately. But I do think some time and space for the conversation is necessary to take the temperature down.
I really appreciate what you're saying, and yet I have to say, I just feel such a sadness in my heart too.
Yeah.
I also think it is important that whatever we decide, that we're all on board with it, we'll be supportive of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting. One of the individuals with whom we spoke led with a preface of, I haven't researched this and I don't know much about it, but then asserted opinion about specifically with the school that the funding crisis there is not real, or we're making it up, or it should be fixed with the legislature, and that is very frustrating to me because I am somebody who understands it and knows it and has been thinking about it for a long time and doing the work to understand the problem and to create solutions. So when there's an unwillingness to be informed about it, but also to create opinions that do not reflect reality or actually work toward a solution, that's still frustrating. Like, I've taken the time to understand it, and I really wish others would do so as well. Because our community will change drastically if we don't have a school, and it really is that much of a problem. And I want safe places for kids after school. And the Family Resource Center is looking at a big change in funding dramatically.
Yeah.
That will be a change in how things occur in the community. So, I mean, my general understanding is that no one is really pushing November at this point. Is that the consensus?
It's consensus I would take away. Yeah.
So is there any reason to do a first read of this resolution coming up? Is there a reason to do our meeting on the 29th?
I don't think, based on the discussion, that we need to do the reading if we are saying that they're deferring.
Yes.
I do think the big question is, what are we going to do over the next, I don't know whether we go out in April or August. I mean, we haven't even gotten that far, but what do we do now? We have to figure that, we can't just sit and do nothing and put it out again. Like, we need a real strategy to figure that out. So We need some sessions to work on that.
Mhm.
Because I don't think, I mean, I haven't heard any of us with like, this is the plan of what we need to do. And so I think we need to brainstorm on that and get more, I don't know, brainstorm on how we do that, whether it's more community input or, yeah. Well, maybe we keep the meeting for beginning conversations of that.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with you that we probably don't need to have the next meeting, this next special meeting, just keep it to the,
But we do have a meeting the following week.
yeah. So if we are in consensus about not trying to, you to use your word, trying to, of that, of boiling water.
I wrote that down too.
Excuse me. Got excited over that one.
But it just popped out before then.
Then, yeah, then we have more time to do the work, and I do have some ideas about the work that we could do. I don't know if that's a kind of, do we need to have a motion about that, or we can just jump into the strategy bit? Because I do have, some, some ideas to share. So,
Well, we are in levy planning, so that's where we are in terms of our order of business. I think if you had some, general ideas to share at this point, that would be welcome, but I don't really want to take too long to delve into them and figure them out, but if you want to share some general ideas.
yeah, just, in preparation for the reading of the levy resolution, because it references the request from the school. So I went to read, the old minutes of the Island Rec District, and found that, they, because our resolution language model after Island Rec, so I was curious about, whether or not there was an official request made to the rec commission in order to, do this levy mechanism,
Hey, Chip, can I just ask a question?
Yeah.
Are we talking about like have you heard any, you led with what we do as a commission to engage with the community to support a levy. Is that what this is about?
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna like give strategies for how we,
Well,
engage
it's
with the
linked,
community.
it's linked, yeah, I just wanted to mention that this came about, because of this item on an agenda, which we're likely not gonna discuss, but it seems like in their preparation, in the work that the Island Rec District did in preparation for a successful levy, it seems like, there are things that they have done that I don't think we have done yet. And that could be, something that we could do that could increase the chance of our success. For example, they delayed the adopting of the decision to put the levy on the ballot until they actually had an official request from the school. That's one thing. And then they had discussion, they had pretty detailed discussion about the cost breakdown, the cost of the levy. What I learned is that they were in very close discussion with the school district and discussed the cost that incurred by the rec district to be passed on to the school district. So the cost of levy is of no cost to the rec district. So that's something, I'm not sure if we want to do that, but that's something that we could actually discuss in iron out, or like maybe cost sharing, I'm not sure. But that's, we have never discussed that.
And this is a strategy to increase the chances of the levy passing, is to talk about cost sharing with the school.
To have clarification, I feel like they did a lot, it occurs to me that they talked in great detail, the deliberation that the district commission did before they actually put the levy on the ballot. They went into a lot of details, and I'm very grateful for that detailed minutes, because then we can actually learn about what they actually discussed, and then they discussed, whether or not so they have the levy, the rec levy that supports mm, their normal operation, and they were like, oh, should the portion that supports the school district, should that be a separate levy? You know, they discussed that, they discussed is this about supporting competitive sports? Or is it supporting operations or whatever? It seems like they went into the detail of, what exactly the rec district is supporting. And for us, I don't feel like we have had that discussion at all. We kind of leave it to the future of the interlocal agreement. So I think if we have more clarity, more details, maybe that could be helpful for the voters. That we heard from Patsy, from attendees of listening sessions that there's not a lot of clarity. There's some confusion about what exactly, this levy is supporting. So if we have more
I've never heard
details.
anyone but you. Yeah, no, it seems defined in people's minds, like, oh, yes, and that goes to pay for school sports and that helps. So that seems the part that is most easily understood by voters to me.
Well, I mean, even in the feedback form, some people did raise, we had, I just want to acknowledge too that 40 people took the time to fill the feedback form, and that, I read every single comment, I read all the columns. Just want to acknowledge. Yeah.
Just to be clear, you're not the only one. I also read all of them.
Okay, great, yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah,
That's great.
yeah, just want to acknowledge, that people took the time to provide feedback, and therefore, and some did mention about the need for more details, even with the school athletics. So, it's not just me, it's, I feel like that, also, in response to some of the feedback that we received.
Okay, so do you have additional suggestions you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, so just to conclude, and I can share the link with you of the information that I received from the experience of Island Rec. But my suggestion is that it would be really good for us to, get all the details ironed out. We
They
need
also had
to
a
be.
really different arc of what they were doing, and it was way back in 2010. We have met with the Island Rec and discussed that at length with them in previous iterations too, so I feel pretty familiar with that, but, continue on about what you were wanting to share as other suggestions too.
Yeah, that, first step, we need an official request from the school district.
I don't understand how that, I mean, why do you think that would make a difference with voters? Because this is about strategies for increasing the chance for the levy to
Well,
pass.
this is just about us being prudent as a commission.
Well, I thought you were sharing strategies for how we can try and
Well,
pass a levy going forward.
I think
And I don't know
yeah,
I don't think that matters to voters, but
I think
it's
it
also an
does.
easy thing. Okay, I disagree. I think it's an easy thing to fix though, too.
Yeah, I mean, we need to earn trust, right? And then we need to therefore be exercising our responsibility as a district, that we do the due diligence, that we have good governance in place. And so when the resolution says that, whereas the school district has made a request to the Lopez Rec district, like we need to be able to show the community, here is the request that we have received from the district, and that's what the Island Rec district did. Anyway, so, this basic, I don't know, what's the word, I feel like that's part of basic responsibility of us as commissioners.
So you're saying that the wording in the resolution says that a request was received and there wasn't one, is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, we
Okay.
haven't had a receipt,
Okay.
we haven't had a formal request, yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so I feel like this, the this is one piece. And another piece would be to just get our governance in order. There have been comments about transparency, about minutes, about conflict of interest, and lack of policies. I feel actually that's what Patsy and I talked about. We think that it would be really good to address some of these comments, and also back in February or April, I don't remember. We talked about the need to discuss board policy. Anyway, we have discussed that, and we want to prioritize the discussion of levy, so we put it off until the next regular meeting. So I feel like that is another piece, as reflected in the feedback too, about the need to just get our house, our governance in order. So that's another piece that we could do while we try to get ready to, I feel like, credibility of the commission is part of earning trust from the community.
So what I hear you saying is that you think one strategy is to get our governance in place by making sure that we have all the policies that we think we need. And if it says the request from the school, we make sure we have a request from the school. Am I getting that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I think our next meeting can be more of an exploration of next steps. Are we deciding that we want to keep the meeting on the 29th, or should we engage in that effort at our regularly scheduled meeting? That's my question.
I don't think we need the 29th.
I agree.
I'm fine either way.
Lynn?
I just need to cancel my airplane flight back because I thought it was important for me to be there. So it's fine to not have it. It makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it was specifically scheduled with the hope that we would be passing a resolution to place it on the November ballot.
Exactly.
Yeah. Hopefully you got the little insurance for changing your flight.
Maybe I'll just fly up anyway because it's going to be a beautiful day. Who knows?
There you go. Okay, do we need a motion and ruling on that, or can we just do consensus of we've decided to cancel the meeting on the 29th?
This is a special meeting anyway.
It is, yeah.
I don't think we need
Yeah, I don't think so either.
official board action.
Okay. So can we just all give me a nod of head that we're canceling the meeting on the 29th?
Sure.
Okay.
Thumbs up.
Okay. Consensus has been noted on that. And Lynn, I think that would be good to note in our meeting minutes that by consensus, we chose to cancel the meeting on the 29th, as we have by consensus decided to table our resolution conversation.
Or delay.
Table
I guess is delay.
Table is delayed.
Yeah, we're not giving up.
And so our regularly scheduled meeting for August, we can take some of that time to talk about next steps. Okay. We don't have anything else on our agenda, so I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Yeah,
Maybe for second.
Patsy seconded. All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
I say aye as well. That sounds unanimous, so our meeting is adjourned at 4:14 p.m. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
When is the next meeting scheduled?
The first Thursday,
August
the 6th.
Okay. Well, make sure you're not got on the calendar.
I'm just gonna thinking about canceled.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Agree. Bye.
See you later.
Send the link of the minutes.